Good evening, everyone. Hello, welcome along to the Sports Corner Live. We are back once again on the YouTube channel for another live watch-along. It's only felt like a few days ago. In fact, it was less than a few days ago. It was a few hours ago that we pretty much lived in the League and title race. But we are back, of course. This time for something a little bit different. It's the first time on the channel we've actually done playoff fixtures. We did the Champions League in terms of the actual playoffs to get into the competition at the very start of the year. But we know that at this time of the year, the EFL is always a very exciting competition to watch, especially when it does get towards the latter stages. And I'm really excited for what is going to be a very brilliant week of watch-alongs to come, based around the playoffs. Now, I'm not going to lie, we are having a few issues with our Wi-Fi, so I am going to apologise, first of all, one, in advance, that I can't realistically see many of your messages. I'm going to have to keep flicking back and forth, hopefully without any lag in between. That'll make everything perfect if we don't get any lag. If we do, then there is the risk that I might have to just end the stream there, but right now I'm literally working off the fact that my wired Wi-Fi is working, and if that goes down, we are basically buggered, if I'm being honest with you. But welcome along. How are we all doing? It is Monday afternoon, Monday evening, whatever you want to say, and we've got a brilliant fixture to come your way with kick-off in literally, I would say, a minute or two's time. Now, I am going to be a little bit behind, only because I am having to watch it on my laptop. Usually, I'd watch it on my actual console. However, as I said before, it's a little bit of a problem right now that I can't actually go and get it up on my PlayStation. So I am going to be a little bit further behind than I usually am. But how are we all doing? Welcome along. Ingolstadt saying Gary Anderson. Few more days to the darts, my friend. Don't you worry. And we'll have that all up and ready for the Premier League for the last week. It's going to be very exciting for that. But we're here for what is the last few games of the Championship season. Playoff time. Always a special moment, isn't it? The playoffs. And I'm really excited to see what happens in today's fixture between Bournemouth and Brentford. Kick-off literally about a minute or two's away. Carl's in the building as well. How are you doing, Carl? Hope you're good as always. Well, hey, Josh, how are you? I'm not too bad. Hoping the Wi-Fi comes back soon, because I am watching the game just on very limited resources. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything runs smoothly and we can do watch-along without having a few hiccups here and there. But maybe in the next 10 or 15 minutes, something might come back, and if it does, then I can actually move everything onto the console and we can crack on with the game. But let's have a look at the two lineups of the teams today between Bournemouth and Brentford for this first leg of the semi-finals of the EFL Championship. Starting off with Bournemouth's side, it says a 4-2-3-1 today. It's actually, I would probably say, 4-2-3 or maybe even a 4-3-3 when you're looking at it on paper. Begovic is in goal, back four of Lloyd Kelly and Adam Smith. They're the two full-backs. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Steve Cook are the two centre-backs in this game today. Ben Pearson and Jefferson Lerma, two holding midfielders. Now, saying Philip Billing as a cam, I think it's going to be a flat-free midfield. Billing playing as a box-to-box midfielder, if I'm being honest with you. But I think that's going to be a very interesting team to look at in terms of how it plays formation-wise in the game today. And then, of course, on the wings, Danjuma Groenveld has been so important this season for Bournemouth. He's on the left-hand side. David Brooks is on the right-hand side. And a player who has certainly improved his game in the Championship this season, Dominic Solanke, he is up top. Really looking forward to seeing how he does today. I've seen him a few times, of course, but it's been a little bit of a while since I remember him scoring a goal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he scored one in the last week or two, but he is going to be under some pressure to go out there and lead the line for Bournemouth today. As for Brentford, they are the highest scorers in the Championship this season, and no doubt they'll be hoping to bag in a few more goals in this playoff fixture this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are in the world. It is a 3-4-1-2 from Brentford today. David Wright is in goal. He stays in. Of course, he actually played in the playoffs last season against Fulham when we saw that incredible mistake in where Joy Bryan scored a ridiculously scary free kick, if I'm being honest with you. He didn't really deserve to hit it from the range that he did, but he scored. Back three, we've got Pontus Jansson. He's alongside Christian Norgard and Ethan Pinnock. So as you can see, three at the back today there. Serge Canos is on the left. Mads Roeslev is on the right-hand side with Vitalik Janelt and Matthias Jensen as the two midfielders. And then up top, you've got Ivan Toney and Marcus Forss together with Tariq Fosu just in behind as the attacking midfielder. Should make for a very, very exciting game indeed. But we are now underway with the action in this evening's fixture in the playoffs. And most importantly today, it's not just the fact that the playoffs is on. fans are back, which is brilliant to see. First time we've had fans back in the EFL and in the Premier League for quite some time, so it's brilliant just to see the Vitality Stadium a little bit more full than it has been over the last few months. But of course, with the UK today going back to different restrictions, I guess, is the best way to put it. We can now have fans back in stadiums, which is very nice indeed, and hopefully we do get a little bit more of that to come in the near future overall. But I'm just going to make sure here everything's not lagging. I am going to be looking at your comments throughout the stream, but I'm watching it on my laptop. So usually I'll have my laptop up and I'm looking that way. I'm looking this way tonight because until the Wi-Fi comes back, I'm going to have to watch it on here. But do put your predictions in the chat. I'm really, really excited for this game. I think when you look at the two championship ties, this for me is the more, not lucrative tie, but the more exciting of the two ties, because both these teams have come up against each other twice this season in the championship, played very, very well in both games, both sides. And Brentford, in fact, actually played against them before, a few weeks ago, in which they won 1-0, Pontus Jansson being sent off in that game, but still Brentford fighting hard and getting on that all-important victory on the board, which guaranteed them a spot in the playoffs. They'll be hoping tonight they can go one better and give themselves an advantage in the playoffs. Let's not forget as well, no away goals in the playoffs. It's not like the Champions League with the two legs. It's two legs on it, so if, let's say, Brentford do win this 2-0, they don't have the away goals advantage. Bournemouth would only need to score 2 goals to get back into it in the next match. But once again, Carl saying as well in the chat, all new people in the chat, please try not to spoil anything like major goals. As I said, we are going to be a little bit longer behind from where we'd usually be for now. Hopefully we can sort that out in a little bit. But Daz is in the building as well. How are you doing, Daz? Hope you're good. He's asked who's doing tonight's game. The Barnsley we're not going to be doing tonight. The only reason why is because we're having these technical issues right now. It's a little bit more of a problem for someone else to then stream after me. I'm quite lucky, of course, I can get just this stream going underway right now. We'd have to set everything up for the next game like that, because I think it kicks off literally about 10 or 15 minutes after this game's finished. So we're going to have to leave that one for now. But I know the next watch-along we will be doing is Lincoln City Sunderland. That's on Wednesday, so do stick about for that, because that'll be a very, very good game indeed, no doubt. As Ingolstadt has asked in the chat, who do you think's going to win? I mean, I think there's a chance here for Ivan Toney, ball flicked over the top, but straight into the hands of Asmir Begovic. I think that we are going to see Bournemouth win the playoffs, in my personal opinion. I think, I was looking at the stats earlier on today, and it was something basically like Brentford have been in the playoffs 9 times in the whole of the EFL. They've never won in the playoffs. Never won in the playoffs. They've never gone up, basically, from the playoff spots, which is crazy when you think about it, because, you know, Brentford, they are a very good team, a much more improved side over the last few months and years. But for me, Bournemouth have just got a class about them, and here comes Brooks, looking to cause some damage, and it won't come to anything in the end as Ethan Pinnock gets the ball back in this first 5 minutes, as you would expect. It's the home side on the front foot in this game, doing very well indeed, trying to get a feel for the ball, and with the fans there as well, it will be a massive confidence booster for them, especially as they try and push forward to get that early goal in this playoff fixture. Daz asked, when's the next Premier League one? There probably isn't going to be another Premier League stream this season. To be honest with you, I don't really give a shit about the Premier League. There's nothing to fight for. Relegation's done. Top 4 couldn't really care about. Title's done. So there probably isn't going to be another Premier League stream this season. That's my choice more than anything. But apart from that, yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it, really, where I'd rather focus on the EFL playoffs, because there's a lot more on the line there. And it's the playoffs, do you know what I mean? It's incredible, these types of games, because you usually get one classic each season. I think this has got the potential to be that classic. I think the Oxford-Blackpool game has got an opportunity as well to be an absolute barnstormer of a match. But it's a really, really good start to this game. And we just seen the chance back there, actually, for Brentford. It was a ball over the top towards Ivan Toney, and he just tries to chest the ball down. It's a really heavy touch in the end from the 30-goal striker in the Championship, and eventually it goes into the hands of Asmir Begovic. But Ivan Toney this season, 31 goals, been fantastic for them. Really, really good player, and no doubt he's going to have a lot of Premier League clubs after him next season, that's for sure. But he's done all the justice needed for this Brentford side this season, and he's going to be a very, very key player in the complexion of this tie, I've got to say. And then I think Daz has just put, I hope it's Josh. Don't know what you're trying to say there, but yeah, for me, it's just one of those where the Premier League's a little bit dead now. We're probably going to more focus on the Liga and Ligue 1 at the weekend. Every league is finishing this weekend, all the big leagues at the very least. So we'll be focusing on those a little bit more. So that'll be La Liga and I think Ligue 1 are the two going to be covering this weekend, alongside the playoffs as well. So there's a lot of content still to come. But for me, it's just one of those where the Premier League is... There's just not much going on there, so I don't think we're going to be covering it, sadly, which is a shame. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens over the next week to what we cover and what we don't. But 7 minutes in here. Apologies that I am a little bit further behind tonight. The instant minute, I see that the Wi-Fi's back. We'll be back on target and just able to crack on with the stream as we normally would. Hopefully, get a little bit closer to the actual real time of the game. But Daz thinks... He's thinking 4-1 to Brentford. He says Toney hat-trick, which would be interesting because, when you look at both these teams in terms of the form coming into the actual playoffs, the last 3 games of this season, Bournemouth lost all 3, Brentford won all 3, so it does put them in a really interesting position for Brentford to be the in-form side, keeping the high intense, and there's an opportunity here. Ball from Roos, trying to flick it towards the path of Ivan Toney, doesn't get to him in the end. Few calls in the box for a potential Brentford penalty, which the referees waved away, and Sergi Canos gets the ball back. Dinks the ball over the top. And there's an opportunity for Roslev, who does get a touch on the ball, but he's not the greatest touch in the world. And in the end, Bournemouth have just kept the ball in play to make sure it doesn't go out for a Brentford corner. And the referee's given a free kick as well, in the meantime. Des says there's no clock. Yeah, there's no clock just because we're behind. I don't want to sit there and piss about with the clock, because it'll take too much hassle. So, no clock today. Or for now, at the very least. If the Wi-Fi comes back, I'll put the clock on the screen. But to be honest, it's just there for decorative value, I guess. But 8 minutes on the clock. Good early, fast pace to this game. Which is what you'd expect. Both teams will want to come out on the front foot and get themselves that all-important goal on the board to kickstart this championship playoff tie. And I do think my original prediction for this game was 2-2. I think both teams have got very, very good attacking players. We've seen Ivan Toney, of course, 31 goals this season. He's been the key for Brentford. But the key for Bournemouth this season has to be Danjuma, who's been incredible. Didn't really play much in the Premier League last season because of an injury. But this season, he's been absolutely brilliant for Brentford. And talk about him. He's on the ball now on the left wing. Might be an opportunity here for Danjuma to take on his man. Going to play the ball into the path of Kelly, who flicks it in. And there's an opportunity from outside the box from Jefferson Lerma on the volley. And it was a speculative effort from the Colombian, but a really good chance. And it was a ball lobbed in by Lloyd Kelly. It comes towards David Brooks. The goalkeeper, I think... No, it wasn't the goalkeeper, sorry. It was Pinnock who headed the ball away. It came out to Jefferson Lerma, who took it on the volley from the outside the box. It was a good effort from Jefferson Lerma, and we know what his qualities are. He can score spectacular goals on his day, but in the end there, it doesn't come to anything. And early chances in the first 10 minutes of this very vibrant EFL playoff fixture. And Kaz says, I think this is the first time Josh didn't use a clock. I must snap a picture for this rare moment. Hey, as I said, if we get the Wi-Fi back in the next 80 minutes, maybe we might have the clock back on the screen again. But it's one of those where I'm just having to try and hold a little bit of the Wi-Fi for my laptop, so we can actually watch the game and do a watch-along tonight. I think I didn't want to not do one, because, well, the playoffs are exciting, aren't they? You always want to watch the playoffs, but it's just convenient that the Wi-Fi decided to shit the bed about half an hour before kick-off. Typical, innit? Absolutely typical. But we're here either way, and we can continue on, which is the good thing. You know, we could have sat here and not, unfortunately, been able to have done a stream, but we can. And there's an opportunity now for Brentford. As Sergi Canos plays the ball forward, there's no one there, and Cook gets the ball back. He's going to play it long to David Brooks, and he's going to play a ball into the path of Adam Smith. Comes towards Philip Billing, and it's a brilliant opportunity. And he's been so deadly this season for Bournemouth in front of goal, but that was a real opportunity. And you could have arguably said it should be 1-0 to Bournemouth, and he's at the edge of the box. And you've got to say that there's credit which has to be given to Janelt, because he comes in with a flying tackle. He puts Billing off on the opportunity, and in the end he knows that he's got to at least put that shot on target minimum, rather than putting it away from goal and out of play for a goal kick. But he's moved a little bit forward into an advanced position, Billing, and he's done very well this season of being able to finish from good areas inside the box. But that area there just wasn't able to get the ball in the back of the net, and they'll be hoping tonight, the Bournemouth fans, that there's a few crackers from him, because they do need a few players like Billing to get on the score sheet and open up this playoff tie and just get a few goals in the back of the net and make it a bit more comfortable. But here comes an opportunity for Brentford as Sergi Canos whips a ball into the box, and it doesn't come to anything again. And it was a really, really weak ball, and in the end there, not really much coming from it for Brentford. But Ingle started asking how old am I? I'm 20, 21 in about 2 weeks, I think. Or a week, can't remember. Depends what it is, probably 2 weeks, I think. But 13 minutes on the clock. 0-0. And it's Bournemouth who've been the better of the two sides in this playoff fixture so far. Peter Nunn saying, come on Bournemouth. He wants to see the Cherries win, and they've played very well so far. Just want to make sure we're not lagging. Let me just check. Yep, we're all good. At least I know I can stream for the rest of the afternoon with no issues. But it's going to be Adam Smith here, playing the ball forward, trying to hit it long towards Dominic Solanke, who's not really had much to do so far in this game. But in the end, it's just all about getting a feel in these early sections of the game. And there's a confidence about Brentford in possession for me. But they're going to be under a lot of pressure with Bournemouth. We know what they can do. They're very good pressing side, Bournemouth. And I just think that Brentford are going to have to make the most of the chances here, especially with how electric Bournemouth have started in this game. But Jamie's asked, who do I think is going to win? As I said, I think Bournemouth is probably going to win the playoffs. I just think there's something about this side where all three of the teams that came down last season will go back up again. And I think, Bournemouth have got a very good side. And, that's no disrespect to Brentford, who I think have got a very good side themselves. But for me, I think on paper, Bournemouth have got a better team, in my opinion. But what Brentford have is players who can score. They've got Ivan Toney, who's got 31 goals this season. They've got other players like Mbuemo and Canos and Macondes who can go out there and get themselves, a few goals on the score sheet. So I do think Bournemouth will go out there and win this. But I think there's going to be a few goals, and I think the aggregate score might have 5, 6, 7 goals on it. It just depends on how it starts off, doesn't it, really? It needs to have, this first 15 minutes has been electric. It's just all about getting that ball in the back of the net and really opening up the tie, especially for the second leg, which will be on Saturday, which we will be covering. That'll be with me, of course. And then Peter says Bournemouth, of course, he wants them to go back up, and we'll have to see whether or not they do, because of his big pressure on them to go up this season. Here's Tariq Fosu. Ball whipped into the box, and there's an opportunity here, but the referee is going to give a free kick, and Ivan Toney, with a foul on Steve Cook, which the referee gives, of course, to Bournemouth. But clearance from Ben Pearson was not convincing at all. It came off Jefferson's Lerma back and went right back into the box for Brentford. And we saw for a second there Ivan Toney with a little opportunity to just maybe get himself an opportunity on goal. But, of course, he just clipped Steve Cook and eventually giving it as a free kick to Bournemouth. So a real shame there, I guess, if you're a Brentford fan. Maybe a little chance to believe that you could get something in the game there early on. But it's a really, really bright start It's what you'd expect, wouldn't it? From both teams, they've had a few days of preparation. They've had about a week and a half. So they've had time to get themselves ready for this fixture. They'll be hoping, both sides, they can get a goal and warm to the occasion. Because, a normal EFL fixture, there is pressure on you. But there is a different sentimental value when it comes to the playoffs. It is massive. It's arguably one of the most expensive games in world football, the playoffs. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not they will be able to do, whether or not they'll be able to go out there and win this. Peter's asked, who do you think will win the playoff and go? I mean, as I said about 2 minutes ago, I think, as I said, for me, it's Bournemouth. Bournemouth are the favourites. I think when you look at the 4 teams, Barnsley are the outsiders, and they'll be hoping they can do something similar to Huddersfield and surprise the odds and go up. Swansea are a very interesting side. They've had experience in the playoffs before. I don't think they've got the greatest squad in the world, but what they do have is experience in the playoffs, which many teams don't have. But we're going to stop for a second because there's a ball lobbed into the box towards Dominic Solanke, and it was a really good opportunity for Solanke to strike the post, and it doesn't, I think, hit the post in the end. And it was David Raya who got a touch on the ball, but Dan Juma, who hasn't really been involved so much so far, was the one that started this attack, and it was Lloyd Kelly who whipped a ball into the box towards the near post, and Solanke, he gets a really decent header. It hits the post in the end, and David Raya must have thought he got a touch, but it doesn't get a touch. It goes out of play for a goal kick, and it really could have easily been 2 or 3 goals for Brentford in this first 20 minutes. They've had 4 attempts in this match, Bournemouth. None on target as of yet. But Brentford haven't had any opportunities on goal. None on target, of course. So they'll be hoping that they can maybe go out there and get themselves a goal fairly soon as a ball's lofted over the top towards Ivan Toney. And again, into the hands of Asmir Begovic, who has not really had anything to do in this first 20 minutes. But he won't care. He'll be happy that he's been quiet. And then Pete's asked, who do you think will be the winner out of these two? I have to say Bournemouth, wouldn't I? I think 3-2 Bournemouth on aggregate is what I'm going to go for the overall aggregate score. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm going to expect a few goals in this game. Both of these teams are some of the high scorers in the Championship. I think, of course, Brentford high scorers. Bournemouth, I think, joint 2nd or 3rd highest scorers. So you would expect goals from both of these teams, and they've got a lot of really good attacking players to go out there and put the ball in the back of the net. And talking about one, here comes David Brooks. Plays the ball to Adam Smith. Still got an opportunity to come forward here, Bournemouth. Ball lofted into the box towards Solanke. Doesn't get to anyone in the end. And a clearance in the way, but Bournemouth will get the ball back, although the referee's blown the whistle for the free kick. Adam Smith giving a free kick away, and Brentford have a chance to breathe after this first very quick 20 minutes from the home side. And it was the right decision in the end from the referee. He knows he's going to get clattered, Tariq Fosu, with the ball up in the air. And Adam Smith, he comes in, collides with him, and a free kick is given. As Steve Cook's gone down with an injury here. And it's looking like, I think this might be a case of just checking if he's all right to continue here. Jonathan Woodgate, the manager of Bournemouth. Quite a different occasion to the position he was in with Middlesbrough a few years ago, where he was fighting for survival. Now finds himself at a team fighting for the Premier League. And whether he's there or not next season is another question to be asked. Been very good, hasn't he, in charge of Bournemouth. But whether they want to stick with him or not is another question as they continue off this playoff season. I think that kind of will be what decides whether Woodgate stays in charge or not. But we'll have to see, because there's a long way to go in this playoff match. As Carl said, if Bournemouth do win the playoffs, it'd be like them Norwich-Watford never left the Prem. Wonder how long they can stay. I think, for me, when you look at the teams now, Norwich, for me, are the ones which look more likely to stay up for longer. I think they've got very good players across the board. They've got experience in the Premier League, which I guess all 3 of them would have experience anyway. But the difference in the squads is massive in comparison to the teams in the Premier League. Norwich kept a lot of their players. They didn't sell them on. Buendia staying was a massive bonus. Pookie being there, massive bonus. Cantwell Aaron's. They've had lots of players that have stayed at the club and been loyal to them. While with teams like Watford and Bournemouth, they lost a hell of a lot of players. I mean, you look at the Watford team, they lost Pereira, they lost Capoue, they lost a few other players in between. It's hard to then go back to the Premier League and stick with what you've got because you are going to have to bolster. You know, Watford have got a decent side, I would say, for Premier League football, but still would need a few additions to make it a side that could stay up. So I have to say, I think Norwich, for me, are in the better position. I think same with Bournemouth. They've got a very good team, Bournemouth. Very good side. Danjuma will be a very good threat in the Premier League. Lerma's been there and done it. Cook's been there. There's a lot of players in this team that have been with Bournemouth in the Premier League, but I think they've got a few additions to make to be a good side in the Premier League next season, because there are going to be a few teams struggling, and it's going to be very hard to predict who goes down next season, because for me, there's not really many obvious clubs to go down. You could easily say all three of the teams that could go down again, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think at least one or two of them will stay up, and maybe we see someone like a Burnley, a Palace, maybe go down next season. We'll have to see. But Winvow's in the building. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you're all good as always. Welcome along to the stream. Hopefully, we're still alive. I know we are for now. Just having a few issues with internet. Just going to see actually if the internet is back, because then I can put it on my console, the game. Winvow saying hopefully Swansea will be promoted. We'll have to see. That's the other game coming up tonight. We're not going to be able to cover it live, sadly, because we are having a few Wi-Fi problems. I'm lucky I'm even able to stream this game right now. So we will be covering Lincoln against Sunderland on Wednesday. But here comes Danjuma. Ball flicked into the box. It's cleared away by Pontus Jansson. And they've got to play for throwing just towards the corner flag. And there will also be a stoppage in play here just to make sure Pontus Jansson is okay after clearing the ball away. But it will be throwing here for Bournemouth in a very decent position. And a very, very good start indeed for the home side, who are very, very lively so far, and will feel like they should probably have a goal here before half-time and get that advantage in the game, which they haven't taken, and they'll need to take it soon, because we know Brentford, it only takes one opportunity for them to put the ball into the back of the net. Des asks who the ref is. I've got no idea. Couldn't possibly tell you, and I would look, but I don't want to lag the stream out, so you might have to look yourself, unfortunately. But Danjuma trying to dance around the Brentford defence, but not being able to in the end. It's going to be, I think, a corner. Just having a check here. No, it's going to be a throw-in just towards the corner flag for Bournemouth, in a similar position to the one that was taken a few moments ago by Danjuma. It's taken by Kelly. Steve Cook plays the ball into Philip Billy, now on the wing. What can they Dane do? Tries to flick a ball into the box. It comes off Ethan Pinnock. But Bournemouth have got the ball back here. And it's Terry Fosu who's got the ball back here. Now there's a good opportunity potentially for Brentford. And a really good tackle from the veteran Steve Cook. Brilliant, brilliant tackle just to keep force away from the goal. And that could have easily been a potential risky challenge to make from Steve Cook. And it was a very good one indeed. Got the ball. Didn't get most of force. And as I said, that could have been a much more risky tackle had he not got that. And there's a ball deflected into the hands of David Raya as we're about to reach the 25th minute already. We're 25 minutes in, and it feels like this game is going by very quickly with how this first 25 minutes has been. It's been a very, very good start, as you would expect, from both sides in the playoffs. Lots of big games coming up in the next week in the EFL. League 1, League 2 as well. The likes of Morecambe, Tranmere, Forest Green, Newport County, all down in League 2 fighting to get into League 1. Then, of course, you've got Lincoln, Oxford, Sunderland and Blackpool fighting for the opportunity to move into the Championship. And what an opportunity it is for these lot to maybe be getting the riches of the Premier League. And it'd be a dream for the Barnsley fans. You know, they'll be dreaming about a situation like this. But for Bournemouth and for teams like Swansea, they'll be praying that they could just go up and get themselves back to the beautiful place that is the Premier League. Here comes Ivan Toney. Might be an opportunity from the edge of the box here from Sergi Canos, which he does take it on. It's a P-roll of a shot. And he's calling for a deflection from Steve Cook. And I think the referee actually has given it as a corner to Brentford. But Steve Cook slightly debating the decision. And, yeah, Yeah, he took a little nick from Steve Cook there. Right decision from the referee to give the corner to Brentford. And without saying, he's trying to look for the ref's name. There we go. Carl's found it. Ref's Tim Robinson. And then the assistant and the fourth officials as well. There we go. So they are the people working today on board trying to officiate this game. And we do have a corner here for Brentford in the 26th minute. Can they get, with their first attempt on goal, a lead? Ball lofted in. Comes towards Ethan Pinnock, who does get a touch on the ball. And didn't really do much with it, to be honest. But it's Fosu who's got the ball back here. On the right wing. Needs to put a good cross into the box. Which he tries to put a dinked ball to the near post. And it's good defending by Cameron Carter-Vickers. But Fosu's got the ball back. And he's on the right wing. What can the winger do here? Been very tricky. And hasn't really got anybody next to him. It plays it towards Pinnock, who's lofted the ball into the box. And it's a very comfortable header in the end from Jefferson Lerma towards the path of Asmir Begovic, who makes a very comfortable save and a chance for Brentford that goes wide. And now maybe an opportunity here for Brentford to come forward again. After Philip Billing gives the ball away, very poor from the Dane there. But Brentford just looking to calm it down here. It has been a very lively 27 minutes. A very quick half an hour in terms of the pace of the game. And it's understandable to why they're just trying to calm it down a little bit, slow the pace down. It's been maybe a little bit too quick for Brentford. But they're doing all that they can here to keep themselves in the game. And I'm doing all I can to see if the bloody Wi-Fi come back. And the answer to that is no. Still waiting for it to come back. As the ball has been booted out of play. And the Bournemouth fans cheering. And it's not often we've heard that this season, is it? It's been a very, very weird season without the fans. As I think David Brooks has gone down. And this is something you don't want to see. This is going to be a little bit of a worry here for Bournemouth. One of their star players this season, David Brooks, been fantastic for them. But an ankle problem here might potentially be a real worry if he can't continue. And they'll be hoping here he can. Obviously just trying to treat him there, which will mean we'll have a little bit of additional time in this game. But we'll have to see. As David Brooks does come off for the moment. Oh, apologies for yawning. My bad. Apologies for that. And I think he should be alright to continue. He's looking like he's walking okay, and he should be good to continue. But they'll just check him out, make sure he's alright. And yeah, he will be coming back onto the pitch instantly. So no real issues there for David Brooks. He'll be able to come back on and get himself back into the game once the ball is in play. Which Lloyd Kelly's just went to take a throw in. And then we'll have 11 players back on the pitch for Bournemouth. While Brentford will also be hoping here that they can use their 11 men and get a goal in the back of the net, because it's been a poor start from them, I think. And here come Bournemouth. It's going to be Pearson playing the ball to the right-hand side. Here's David Brooks, who's just come on, and literally after coming off for a second with a potential injury, flying tackle from Sergi Canos, and he's okay this time. And he's straight back up to his feet. And he's not suffering. And here come Bournemouth again. Another throw-in. This time towards the corner flag again. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Apologies. The game's not boring, I'll tell you that for sure. It's a very good start to the game. But I don't know why I'm yawning. Probably because I got up very early. But maybe a chance for Bournemouth. They're on the right wing. It's going to be Adam Smith trying to flick a ball into the box. And it's really, really tight defending from Brentford here. 2 or 3 players closing themselves down. Here's Carter Vickers. Plays the ball into Ben Pearson on the right wing. Now Jefferson Lerma. Long ball. Gets it towards Arnaud Danjuma, who gets a head down. Plays it towards Lloyd Kelly. And eventually seen off by Pontus Jansson. And back into the path of Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's just moved up the pitch, and there's going to be a shout of offside for Lloyd Kelly. And that is a little bit of a break there for Brentford, who have... they've had to work hard, haven't they, Brentford, in this first 30 minutes? They've not really had a lot of opportunities to come forward, but it's the defenders for both teams who've had a lot of opportunities where they've had to defend, specifically Brentford more than Bournemouth. But Steve Cook with the one sliding tackle in the first 15-20 minutes was a really key moment in the game. And you'll feel that there'll be a few more key moments here, as there might be an opportunity for Brentford to come forward. Ball lofted into the box towards Force. Comes towards the edge of the box here with Ivan Toney. Back to JanElt, who's going to flick a ball into the box. And it's still at the near post. Flicked in. Begovic trying to get the ball. Sijkana's trying to keep it alive. Ivan Toney's in there trying to get a touch on the ball. He doesn't. He'll come back to Tariq Fosu at the edge of the box. He's got 4 players around him. Tries to flick a ball. And Ben Pearson has been fouled in the end. It'll be a free kick. And maybe a little bit of frustration there from Tariq Fosu, who just wasn't able to flick a ball into the box. And we've asked into the Championship or Premier League refs. I think the referee I've just seen, I think he's a Premier League ref. From what I've seen. Because I've recognised him from a few Premier League games in the past. So it would make sense, wouldn't it, if they had Premier League refs on for these big games? Because, well, there's not really much else going on, is there, to be honest with you, with the rest of the actual other games in the Premier League. There's no other games going on, I think, today. But we'll have to see. Maybe someone knows referees a little bit more than I do, because I couldn't possibly tell you. But we're going to have a goal kick here for Brentford. And Wi-Fi, I think, is still down, which is very annoying. It's so much better when I can sit like that, watch the game, see what's going on. And I can't even do that right now. Typical, innit? Here's Lerma, though. Trying to make things work for Bournemouth in this first 30 minutes. Lovely ball towards David Brooks, who flicks the ball. Adam Smith towards Danjuma. And good defending from Pontus Jansson. Here's Danjuma trying to take on Norgard. Doing really well. And he's going to play the ball into Billing. Back heel trying to play it to Danjuma, but the back heel is a little bit too heavy. And it will come back to Brentford's defence. And Pontus Jansson just getting the ball away from his goal and up the pitch, trying to lead a potential counter-attack for Brentford, which it doesn't come to anything. But here's Lerma, just at the edge of the pitch now. And he's got a really good pace, hasn't it? It's a very good pace. You just you can feel a sense of urgency from maybe Bournemouth a little bit more than Brentford to go and get that first goal. But there is a good pace to the game, a little bit more exciting than what you'd want from a game like a normal EFL match. You know, it'd be a little bit more calmer. But there's got to be a sense of urgency. You want to get that first goal on the board and put yourself in a good position. Be the team in front. And that's what Bournemouth want to do. And they just haven't got it yet. But just a talking to here for Janssen, who is had a little bit of argy-bargy with Steve Cook in this first half an hour. It's been a bit of pushing and shoving going on. And Steve Cook also, getting a bit of a talking to. And it's the first game he's taken charge of, this referee, by the way. So that tells you roughly where he's from. I would probably say then he's not a Premier League referee if this is his first proper EFL game in charge. Maybe he might be a Premier League ref and they've just boosted him up for this game. But here's a chance for Bournemouth to come forward. They're actually going to have to retreat as Adam Smith is fouled. And there's a bit of frustration going here for Brentford. Another foul being given, this time Sergi Canos. And Adam Smith going down. And there's just a little bit of frustration now. I think Steve Cook trying to say a yellow card needs to come out here to kind of set the ball game up. But the referee not bringing out the cards yet. And I'm just seeing now. Yeah, he's not really probably a tackle to give a yellow card. But I think, you know, Bournemouth players are expecting the yellow cards to come out. They want to, you know, see a few bookings going and get a few players in awkward positions for these playoff games. But no, they haven't brought out the cards yet. And I think it will be pretty soon when the yellow card comes out. I don't know who it's going to be to, but there has been a fair few fouls from Brentford. And I think you could arguably say the same about Bournemouth as well in his first 35 minutes. I will get your comments back up in a second. My chat's gone. I don't know what's going on, honestly. Absolute nightmare. Apologies. I will see your comments in just a few moments' time. Honestly, the Wi-Fi could not have gone at the worst time on my phone. You love to see it. But here comes Bournemouth on the attack. It's going to be Danjuma on the left-hand side. And Ivan Toney not really had much to do, has he, in this game so far? And that's a bad thing. As Cal says, Tim Robinson mainly refs in the Championship. But I think he does Prem matches as well, which would make sense. Would make sense. I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, where I'd seen him before, and you know what it's like with the referees in the Premier League and the Championship. They do move up and down the systems. I think Mike Dean was refereeing a Championship game a few weeks ago on the last day. So they do move up and down, don't they, all the time, which makes sense. I guess you've got to have kind of a league, don't you, really, for the referees as well. But just a little bit of a slower pace here. You know, we're 36 minutes in, 10 minutes left of this first half, and it's just slowed down slightly, this game. I think this is maybe a little bit of what Brentford want to do. They want to slow the game down, calm it down a little bit, because that sense of urgency might just be a little bit too strenuous on the back line for Brentford. And it will be the wayside who come forward here. And it's going to be Yanelt. Trying to take on his man. He's up against Kelly. And Kelly didn't move in the end, did very well indeed. And Bournemouth have got the ball back. As Carl says, Asmir Begovic is 33 years young. He is, isn't he? As there's a chance here for Fosu. At the edge of the box. Long range effort taken on by Sergi Canos. And it was a opportunity which was deflected. And Begovic was scrambling for a second. But it will go over the top of his goal. And I think Begovic's heart was in his mouth there for a second. Because it deflected up into the air. And it's one of those shots where you don't really know whether it's going to kind of bundle down into the goal or not. But it doesn't. And it is going to be a sigh of relief there for Begovic. And a corner for Brentford, who will be hoping here that, regardless of the fact they've not really had many opportunities on goal, they can maybe get the first goal of the game and go up 1-0 at half-time. And keep your eye on Ethan Pinnock. Usually, he's very good when it comes to headers. And I'll be keeping my eye on him here and seeing whether or not he might be the player that can get the ball into the back of the net. But ball's lofted into the box towards the near post. Comes towards Tariq Fosu. Ball lofted in towards Pinnock. And doesn't get to him in the end. And now there's an opportunity here for Bournemouth to break. And there's numbers forward. And it's going to be a potential 2-on-1 opportunity. And it's a really good opportunity for Solanke to break forward. And the ball is poor. And that's a real waste for Dominic Solanke. And it was Dan Juma who was up there with him as well. And there'll be a few groans from the crowd. And it was a really, really good opportunity for Bournemouth there. And you've got to give credit for the recovery run from Brentford just to get back and eventually get the ball away from the Bournemouth attack. But an opportunity that you feel Bournemouth had to take there to get that nice early goal in the game and really set the tone for this playoff fixture. And without saying he's been up and down divisions. I mean, I don't really mean the ref or Begovic, but Begovic has been everywhere, hasn't he? I mean, he was only at Milan last year, which is, you know, mad when you think about it. He was at AC Milan for a little bit, and I think he had 1 or 2 games, but he's had quite a career, hasn't he, Begovic? Stoke, Chelsea, Milan. He's been all over the blocks. But I'm just seeing now that chance again, and oh man, it is such an opportunity for Bournemouth to go forward. And you just think for a second, if there's 1 or 2 players you'd want up top in a counter-attack, it's Dan Juma and Solanke. And it probably would have been better if it was the other way around and it was Solanke feeding the Dan Juma feeding the ball to Solanke. But it was the other way around. It was Solanke feeding the ball to Dan Juma, and the pass just wasn't good enough in the end, and it was able to be cleared away. But 6 minutes left of this first half. It's been a lively one. No goals as of yet. But it's had its fair share of important moments already. And with 6 minutes, can anybody open the scoring here before half-time and set the tone for the playoffs? Or will we be going into the break scoreless? We'll have to see. I am still desperately trying to find a way to get the Wi-Fi back up. I will do it somehow. But I'd be interested to see the stats. I really want to see the stats of the game overall, because I think there'll be a lot of shots in the game. Preferably, or specifically more for Bournemouth than Brentford, because they've had the chances. But I'd be interested to see how many have been on target, because I don't think many would have been on target. Although saying that, there's an opportunity here for Bournemouth to come forward. And it's going to be a corner here for Bournemouth as well. Oh, apologies for yawning again, but it's going to be a corner here for Bournemouth. And I think it was Norgard there who just bundled the ball out of play. And a nice round of applause there from the fans in the stadium, who need to back their side all the way. They're hoping that they can spur them on to victory as the rain starts to bundle down at the coast. And it's going to be Dan Juma who whips this ball in. And it needs to be a good ball into the box. And Danjuma whips it in. It's a floated ball. Comes towards Steve Cook, and I thought it was in. Rebound towards David Brooks, who takes it on the volley, and it's somehow not in the back of the net for Bournemouth. And there's a foul which the referee's not given. And that was such a brilliant moment there for Bournemouth. And you've got to say, what a save from David Raya. It's a brilliant ball from Danjuma. It's a floated ball to Steve Cook. He gets a lot of power on the head of the centre-back. And it's a brilliant save from David Raya. It's right towards his near post. He bundles the ball out to David Brooks. And he hits the shot with as much venom as he possibly could. But it's another good save from David Raya. And in the end there, another opportunity in which you'll feel like Bournemouth will let off, Brentford more than anything will let off the hook, and Bournemouth will be thinking, we should have had a goal before half-time here. But what an opportunity. And they're the opportunities that they need to take in these games. You know, you're not going to get many opportunities in matches like this, are you? And you've got to take them. Because all it takes is Brentford to have one opportunity, and they could maybe get a goal back in the game, as Thomas Frankie's going to have a word with Sergi Canos. Just trying to make sure here that all of his players are 100% in this game. You cannot drop a stinker in a game like this. It's the two games minimum where you want to play the games of your life and try and get your team into the Premier League. As Bournemouth look to come forward again here with 3 minutes left of the first half. It's going to be Jefferson Lerma. And a chance maybe for Lloyd Kelly to drive forward. Here's Brooks. Chance now for Kelly, who flicks the ball into the box. It's not the greatest cross in the world. It's a low-driven one. And it's cleared away in the end. As Cal says, two-part question. I'm going to stop for a second. Because Cook plays the ball to Danjuma. Tries to get round two. Still in the box. And good defending in the end by Ethan Pinnock. But they've got the ball back again, Bournemouth. It's Pearson on the right wing. Tries to take on his man. Plays it towards Adam Smith. Back to Pearson again. Back to Smith. Right at the right-hand corner flag. What's he going to do here? Plays it into Philip Billing, who's at the edge of the box. Tries to flick it towards the path of Danjuma, but it's thumped away by Norgard. And the pressure from Bournemouth continues. And it will eventually be cleared by Tariq Fosu. As Kyle's asked, would you prefer a one-leg semi-final or two legs? I've always said two legs. Specifically in the playoffs, because there's no away goals in the EFL. I always like two legs, because the thing is with two legs, right? One leg makes it more dramatic in terms of winner takes all, but two legs makes it more exciting for comebacks. And I think nothing's better in football than two-leg games. You know, a team could be like 2-0 down in the first leg, and they could win it 3-0 and have an incredible EFL playoff comeback. You know, they are classic moments which you just cannot forget. And that's why I like two-legged games a little bit more. Which is why if they ever try and change the Champions League to one-legged matches, I'll be gutted, because nothing's better than a classic UCL comeback and a chance at redemption. As Adam Smith's gone down, we've got 60 seconds left. I mean, we're about saying one game would make it more important because you're throwing your body into the one game, on a second game you have a leeway. That's true, but I disagree, because depending on the scoreline, you've still got to play it to the full extent. You know, if you're 3-1 up, for example, it's still not comfortable, because if the other team scores and then makes it 3-2, you've still got to make sure that you're, you know, in the A game and playing well. You know, in other games, yes, you know, you could lose 4-0, for example, and the game's done and dusted. But I think most playoff fixtures are pretty tight. You know, they usually end 2-1, 1-0, very tight, very scrappy games. And it means that the other team has got an opportunity to go out there and, of course, go and win the game. But also, the team who's winning still need to go out there in the second match and do better. Because, you know, if they're to go in that game 1-0, all it takes is one goal for a comeback and a chance at extra time. As there is going to be a change here. And Steve Cook's down this time. And it's Adam Smith who'd gone down a little bit earlier on. And I think Bournemouth were going to make a change. But Steve Cook's gone down with a head injury here. And there'll be 2 minutes of additional time in this quite dramatic first half of action, I've got to admit. But we'll have to see here what's up with Steve Cook, because this might not be a good injury, especially with it being a head one. Let's hope he's alright. And it's nothing too serious. As key players have gone down quite a lot here, haven't they, in the first few sections of the match. And just seeing now, it's actually not really any contact on Steve Cook. I'm just seeing it back again here. Yeah, it's no contact whatsoever, and I think his hamstring's gone completely. That's not looking good at all for Steve Cook, and I thought it was a head collision or something there, but when you see the replay back, I think the hamstring's gone. You're going to have to drag Steve Cook off here because the staff members, the physios, are saying that Steve Cook's going to have to come off here, so going to have to make the substitution, and Chris Metham is the man on the touchline who's going to be ready to come on in a moment. And the last thing you want in a playoff game is one of your key players at the heart of the defence to be substituted off because of an injury. And I mean, Adam Smith as well, he's also feeling a little bit of a issue right now with a bit of pain. Let's hope that he's not injured as well, or else we might have to see another change in the defence. But I think Cook's hamstring has gone, and Steve Cook, the captain, will probably not be taking part for quite some time, you would assume now. In fact, I don't think we might see him for the rest of the season. You can see his reaction. He knows how costly this injury is going to be, and he'll be coming off the pitch. Let's hope it's nothing too serious, but with his reaction, I think he knows how disappointed he's going to be here, that I think his playoffs might be done and dusted for now, as Chris Metham will be coming onto the pitch, and we'll have that 2 minutes of additional time coming up in just a few moments. So the Welshman's on. Not really had much to do at the back so far, but you can see Steve Cook now just talking to Jonathan Woodgate, and you can see it's one of those where hopefully he can make the second leg, because if it is a bad hamstring injury, then that can keep you out for quite some time. But let's hope it's something not too serious. But we're back underway now. We'll have that 2 minutes of additional time, and David Raya going to hit the ball up the pitch. And I don't think we're going to get a goal before half-time here. But what we have had is enough drama to make this a very intriguing first 45 minutes of action in the EFL Championship playoffs. And we just have to hope that we do have more drama to come as the night continues on. We will have to see. But here's Ivan Toney, trying to get the ball back. Smith looking a little bit better than he did earlier. He's walking a little bit gingerly, but he's all right to continue as David Brooks tries to take on his man. And he doesn't get himself forward. And I think there's going to be a yellow card here. And it's going to be Rodoslev who goes into the book. And that's the first card of the game. And, well, we said it wasn't going to be too long before the yellow cards came out in this match. And it's going to be Rodoslev who goes into the book. And, I mean, you can see now, there's absolutely no way David Brooks is going to be able to go past him. Especially with the way that Joslev had gone in for the tackle. So, obvious yellow card for the referee to give there. And he goes into the book for the first time in this playoff semi-final. And there'll be a free kick here before half-time for Bournemouth, which will be lobbed into the box. Taken towards Carter Vickers, who makes contact. But the referee will blow the whistle for half-time, and it's a tough, tense first half of action in the EFL Championship playoffs. But what it was a very exciting first half. Lots of opportunities to both sides in this game. And, well, we're 0-0 right now, but I don't think we'll be staying 0-0 for much longer as the two high-scoring teams in the playoffs find themselves at 0-0 in the playoffs. And Bournemouth have been the better of the two sides. You can't argue that. I think they've had plenty of opportunities on goal, but not enough opportunities when it comes to being on target. Brentford, they've had a few little chances here and there. Ethan Pinnock has been dangerous on corners. But apart from that, we had a substitution at the very end of the first half. Steve Cook's hamstring, I think, has gone, which hopefully isn't too serious and it's not as bad as it looked to be. Or else the captain might be out of the playoffs for the rest of the season, which would be a real shame for him. But Brentford, they're going to have some work to do. I don't think either of the sides will be too happy. Bournemouth will be disappointed they're not 1 or 2 goals up. Brentford will be disappointed that they've not had a few more chances in the game. But we'll have to see how things look when we do go back into the second half in about 15 minutes' time. But Kyle's saying, I find it funny that first in the Championship and winning the playoffs gets a trophy, but second doesn't. I guess that's the way life works, isn't it? It is weird, but I guess there's no point giving a second place trophy out, is there? It'd be a bit strange if somebody did get a second place trophy. But I mean, I'd be very intrigued to look at the stats of that game. I think there'd be a lot of shots, not many on target. It's lacked big opportunities, but there needs to be some work done for both teams, and we'll talk through that in a little moment's time. But don't forget, if you are new to the stream, as always, if you have enjoyed our playoff watch along tonight, please don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel if you are new. It is a massive, massive week of action on the Sports Corner, as well, it's pretty much domestic football is coming to an end, isn't it, really? This is the last week of normal domestic football action before we do have pretty much a little break before the Euros in June and July. But coming up over the next week on the channel, as you can see, Lincoln City taking on Sunderland. That's live on Wednesday. That's going to be with Kieran L from 5:55. Should be a brilliant game in League One. We'll have the second leg of this fixture between Brentford and Bournemouth. I'll be live at pretty much 12:30 on Saturday for the second leg. And then Liga and final day, we'll be covering that live on Sunday from 10 to 8. What a day that's going to be. There are 3 teams fighting for the title, 6 teams fighting for survival. Premier League of Darts is back on the 24th of May. You can join me from 7:05 for a week of brilliant darting action. And then you can join the boys on the 26th of May. It is the Europa League final. Villarreal taking on Manchester United. They'll be live from 10 to 8, kick-off from 8 o'clock. I'm not going to be there for it, sadly, but the rest of the boys will be. They'll all be there together to watch that final, no doubt, having a brilliant time, enjoying what should be a very, very good fixture indeed. If you want to check out our social media as well, I highly do recommend doing so. Our Twitter is @the_top corner. Do go and check our Twitter out. Best place to find out when we do go live in terms of our social media. We have Instagram as well. We don't use it as much, but if you do want to follow us on there, it's _sportscorner_. And then you can also check out our website, which we've got new articles going up over the next few weeks based on football, NBA, NFL, a whole host of other sports. You can check out the sports-corner.com. Link is in the description and in the chat. Very kindly, as Kyle always does, because he's an absolute legend. So that is our social media links all sorted and out of the way. We're still goalless in this game. Don't think many people would have expected that so far, but it's had plenty of very good opportunities from Bournemouth more than Brentford. It's just a case of seeing how the away side will do in the second half to try and break down this Bournemouth side, who have had their fair share of opportunities to put the ball into the back of the net. And the best one of the game was that Steve Cook opportunity. And before he came off with the injury, he had a brilliant header, which David Raya saved. He punched it towards David Brooks, and he had a thunderous effort, which was also eventually cleared away from the Brentford goal. But that was the best chance of the game. And when we actually look at both of the benches, you can see Bournemouth have got quite a lot of attacking talent on there. Sam Surridge, Shane Long are the 2 obvious forwards that could come on in this match. Jack Wilshere as well, if they feel like they need to maybe have a little bit more of an attacking approach, then a bit more creativity could do them some good. And maybe someone like Jack Wilshere, who has had experience in the biggest competitions and the biggest trophies, might be the person you need in a game like this, just to get the team going and have that little bit of experience in the side. You've also got Shane Long. You know, he's had experience as well in the Premier League. Scored a few goals, I think, in his move from Southampton to Bournemouth on loan, but maybe now is the time for someone like Shane Long to count himself and pretty much go out there and get an all-important goal in terms of the playoff dreams and hopes for Bournemouth. You can also see on the bench as well with Kelme. He could come on at some point. I think he's another one of the tricky players that could go into this game and do something for them. And then they've also, of course, brought on Chris Metham, which we did see not too long ago. He came on to try and sort out the issues that we had with, I think it was Steve Cook, of course, who went off injured, which is a real shame for him. But we'll have to see whether or not he can make the difference in this game. But overall, that is the Bournemouth team. I think if you're going to bring anyone on, probably Wilshere for me is the best approach if you want to go more creative. What about the Brentford side? You know, they've got a few players on their side that could maybe come on and do something. Of course, attackers. They've got Godos, who has done quite well, hasn't he, for Brentford when he's come on. He's looked very tricky in some of the games and scored a few goals here and there. I think he could come on. Brian Mbuemo, of course, another brilliant player for Brentford this season. He's had lots of fantastic opportunities in the side, and I'm quite surprised why he wasn't picked to play in this game, if I'm quite frankly honest with you. But I do think we'll see him at some point come on and come into this game. We've also got Charlie Good as well at the back. Emiliano Marcondes as well. He's another one that could come on at some point and maybe make a difference if needed. But for now, I think both teams will probably stay with what they've got. I think they're both quite happy with how they've played the game out so far. But overall, 0-0 in this game. It's had its chances here and there, not many opportunities, But you never know. All it takes is one opportunity in a game like this to maybe go out there and get themselves the early goal and put into prime position to maybe go on and win this match. But for now, I'm going to take a little break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes or so, ready for the second half of this match between Bournemouth and Brentford. So do not go anywhere, and hopefully we'll be up for a pretty dazzling second half of action. It was not too bad in the first half. We'll see you in a few minutes. And we are back. I know you guys wondering where I've gone. I didn't go for a drink. I'm going for a piss, to be honest with you. Hopefully you're all good. We're back, of course, for the second half of this game between Bournemouth and Brentford. And I think most of us were expecting a few goals on the board tonight. I think some of us were saying 4-1. I was saying 2-2. We've not quite had the goals we were expecting yet, but don't worry, there's still plenty of time for a game like this to come to life. And ultimately, I think Bournemouth so far have had their fair share of chances, probably better chances in my opinion than we've seen from anything else. I mean, Peter's put too much in for. I had to be honest. I couldn't lie, Peter. But no, it was one of those where Bournemouth had their fair share of chances. And this should probably be 1-0 up had David Ryan not saved Steve Cook's brilliant header. I mean, it was literally as close to the right-hand side of the bottom, well, the right bottom corner of the goal as you could possibly get. But it was a brilliant save from David Raya. And in the end, we somehow still find ourselves at 0-0 in this game. The question for me is, what do Brentford do in the second half? I look at Bournemouth and I think to myself, with Bournemouth, they have played the better of the two teams. They've had a lot of pace about them. And they've had a drive, which for me Brentford haven't had. They've had little opportunities here and there, Brentford. But what we haven't seen is Ivan Toney. We've not really seen anything of him in this game. And that's the worry. You know, the one player Brentford need to get involved into a game is Ivan Toney. Because when you've got a player with 31 goals to the name this season, you've got to get him on the score sheet and fairly soon. Because he's had such a detrimental impact on Brentford's season. You know, if you take out most of his goals, then they would probably be quite far down the table, if I'm being honest with you. But it's just one of those where I think Ivan Toney will need to get into the game. That's what they need to do. I think it probably won't be too long, depending on what happens, and then maybe we might see Brian Mbeumo. I think he's another player, which I said earlier on. I'm a bit shocked as to why he's not started tonight. Of course, you know, when you beat Bristol City 3-1, I guess you don't really want to change up the team much because of how they've played. But Mbeumo is a brilliant player on his day. And Godos as well, I think, is another one that could maybe come on at some point and make a difference. You know, let's say Brentford, for example, do find themselves 1 or 2 down. They might need to bring in a few more attackers. And someone like Godos, who hasn't played a great deal this season, but I think he could maybe be an effective player to come on and do something in a game like this. We'll have to see, of course. But just looking at some of your questions in the chat while we wait for the second half to get underway as both teams coming back out onto the pitch. Daz has asked, when do the teams need to be in for the managers? So I believe the teams need to be in by the end of the month. I know England are announcing theirs next week. I think England, of course, probably waiting till after we've had the Europa League and the Champions League final. Because, well, you know, when you've got all those coming on, going into those games, there's a lot of players with the English sides that are going to be playing in competitions even after the Premier League's finished. So it's going to be one of those where I think you've got to go out there and hold it off a little bit with England's decisions on who goes. But I do think we'll probably see it in the next week or so in who's going to be in the squad. And then Peter said, random question, Harry Kane's future. It's a tricky one because it all depends for me on the money that Spurs want for Kane. It's going to be a big money. It's going to be a lot of money, in fact, that they're going to want for him. And to be honest with you, and they'll never sign him, but I genuinely think that Harry Kane could be a fantastic heir to the throne to Lewandowski at Bayern. I think the mould of the player are very similar. Maybe I'd say Lewandowski is a bit more technically gifted than Kane, but they're very similar in the way that they both play. You know, they're very good finishers, very good inside the box. And I'd be really interested to see how Kane would do in Germany, but I don't think he'd go there. He's always been linked with Real Madrid and Barca. I don't see either of those two going in for him. For me, it looks more likely for a team like Man United or a Man City to go in for him. Or maybe Poch at PSG, sorry. They're getting rid of Icardi soon, so maybe you could look at getting Harry Kane in, spend the big money and take him to France, which would be quite an interesting one. But we're about to get underway with the second half. Kale's heard Godos is class. He's a class player. I think what Godos can bring to the table is a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. You know, he's played in some of the big leagues the big leagues in European football that maybe aren't as well known to people. You know, he was in the Danish league, which of course Thomas Frank will know very well, being a Dane. fellow with the Danes in the squad as well. Always a good place to go out and get experience, and he was a very good clinical finisher there. And I think someone like him could be a good difference maker. He's got a little bit of pace about him. Maybe not as much trickery, but when he's inside the box, maybe someone like that alongside Tony could be lethal together to get a goal. But as I said, we are underway with the action in the second half as Bournemouth take on Brentford 0-0 as it stands. And still no Wi-Fi. It's an absolute shame. As Pete says, I was going to say Bayern as well. He won't go to United, he wants silverware. And no chances of that there. And Kane will actually win trophies with Bayern because he ain't winning at any Spurs. Exactly, I just think... The problem is Lewandowski is a brilliant striker. In fact, he's the world's best striker, and will be for a few more years. I think Bayern just won't go for him because I don't see Bayern wanting Kane. Maybe Kane would want Bayern, but Bayern wouldn't want Kane. And for me, I look at it and I think to myself, I'd really love to see Kane at Bayern because he's just the perfect fit. He'd win trophies. He's got that mould. He could go there and be the heir to the throne to Lewandowski, especially because he's a few years younger. But I don't see Bayern going for someone like that. You know, to be honest, I can see Bayern in the future going for someone like a... I'm trying to think of who they go for, to be honest. I can't think off the top of my head, if I'm being honest with you. But I just don't see them going for someone like that. As Pontus Jansson goes into the book, only 2 minutes into the second half, and the Swede centre-back, who was sent off, actually, in the previous game, and he found himself booked quite early in the second half of that game. He's now booked early in the second half of this game. I mean, Peter's saying Leicester. I don't think Leicester would have the money to afford him. And it's probably more of a case of Kane rejecting Leicester rather than Leicester rejecting Kane. Carl saying, in my opinion, if Kane wanted silverware, he should have left Spurs a long time ago. Don't know why he stayed for so long. I think when the news came out that Real Madrid were one of the teams that were interested in him, he should have gone then. I mean, it'd be great if he broke Alan Shearer's record in the Premier League with the most goals. That'd be cool if he did that. But I think at that point, when he was 25, 26, he was being linked with Barca, Real Madrid, all the big clubs. He should have gone then. Gone abroad. Became an absolute... I mean, he's a star, isn't he? But gone abroad and tried out elsewhere. And I guess the question could then be asked then, would Kane have ever been as good as he is now? Who knows? Who knows in that situation? You know, it's the what if, isn't it, of whether Kane would have been the player he was today had he have moved elsewhere. But I agree. I think for Kane now, he's done brilliant at Spurs. But for me, it would be time to move on elsewhere, go to another club where he can win trophies. And I think for me, Bayern would have been a nice place. PSG, for now, I think is another place which looks a little bit interesting because Poch is there. I think, you know, already been linked with Dele Alli quite a bit. Maybe with Icardi leaving PSG, they could go and get Harry Kane. But at the same time, you're going to have to spend big bucks on Harry Kane, which means someone like a Neymar and Mbappe is going to be shifted to the side slightly. And I don't see PSG doing that when both of them are absolutely flying now. But we are about 3 minutes into the second half. Once again, for those of you watching, apologies. Try not to spoil anything in the chat. Usually I wouldn't be too far behind, but we are in a few technical issues on our side today with connection. Usually I'll be watching on my console. Can't watch it right now on there because the Wi-Fi's down. But I'm lucky enough I've got a wide connection, so I'm able to stream. But I am watching it on my laptop, which means I'm a little bit further behind. So try not to spoil anything in the chat, as it would not be appreciated to have any goals pretty much told before they've gone in. But Bournemouth here in these first 5 minutes, once again, better of the two sides so far. Really pinned Brentford into their own half in these early sections of the game. And you just feel that Bournemouth will be thinking in the back of their head, we need to get a goal soon. And get a goal on the board just to calm the nerves down. Because the longer that this game goes on, if Brentford keep pushing numbers forward late on in the game, you know, we could be coming out of this match with a 1-0 defeat. And talking about it, Roslev with an opportunity to cross the ball into the box. And it comes off Lloyd Kelly and out of play for a Brentford throw-in. Roslev, who, of course, is in the book, just got to keep himself calm in this game to make sure he doesn't get sent off. And here's another player, of course, Jansson, who was sent off a few weeks ago against Bournemouth. He's having Tony at the edge of the box. Not really seen much of him so far. It's probably one of his first touches in the second half. Jorvelt's trying to flick the ball towards Tony, and it will go out of play off Jefferson Lerma for a corner. And potentially, first real set piece of the second half here for Brentford. That's what's happened to Leicester now. They won the FA Cup. It's the Champions League and the Europa League. Champions League. It goes on the position in the Premier League. If Leicester stay in the top 4, it's Champions League that they'll get. If they drop out of it, then I think it's Europa League that they'll get. I don't think they can drop any lower than that. But they'll get Champions League. I cannot see them bottling it now. I think one more win, and they'll have UCL football, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. So for me, I think Leicester will get it in the end. And it'd be nice to see Leicester in the Champions League next season, because there are a lot of teams in Europe that are going to be featuring that don't usually, or maybe haven't in a while. You know, potentially AC Milan back in the Champions League if they don't bottle it on the last day. They're against Atalanta. But corner here for Brentford. Comes towards Ivan Toney, who heads in out. Norgård's had to clear it. And Brentford do get the ball back here, and it's Janssen into Jordvelt. Back to Janssen again. Here's Jensen. Now to Serge Canos, flicks the ball into the box. Ethan Pinnock, bicycle kick, and a little opportunity for Brentford, but not the most amazing of opportunities. And it was a little chance maybe for Brentford to get the first goal of the game. And it's a really good opportunity. And Ethan Pinnock, who has had so much danger in the box, he is a real threat when it comes to the opportunities inside the box with the headers. It was actually Christian Norgård with the acrobatic effort there, and it was a really good effort, you've got to say, from the CDM/centre-back. It was a very good opportunity. As Peter says, I make Leicester 4-4 fifth best team in the league, solid top 16 for now. 100%. For now, they are a solid top 6 team. Be interested to see what happens next season. And I guess we've said it every season, the big clubs will spend big money. Leicester will spend as well. But if they get UCL football, there will be players out there who will want to play for Leicester, because they're a brilliantly run club. They've got a fantastic manager in Brendan Rodgers. But I'm going to stop for a second because there's a chance here for Bournemouth to come forward. Dan Juma trying to flick the ball towards David Brooks, but the linesman's put his flag up fairly quickly and given an offside there. But, well, a bit of confusion here, because I think the referee had actually given an advantage in this situation. And we're just seeing now it was a foul which was given. The referee, I don't know whether he'd blown the whistle or not before the linesman had actually put his flag up. But yeah, it was a foul on Jefferson Lerma. And I think he's got away with it there, one of the Brentford's players on Lerma, because of the continue the phase of play, which wasn't actually the referee's decision. I think he was going to bring that back actually as a free kick, but strange one there. Very strange one indeed. But either way, the rain is pouring down in Bournemouth, and it's going to be the offside decision that's given there. So it means a free kick to Brentford, and Lerma's foul doesn't really mean anything on the board now. It was a pointless one in the end because it doesn't really mean anything. And XMRX, no, I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not falling for it. You've nice try. Nice try. It's a really good effort, but I am very very aware when it comes to the comments, and I'm not going to be reading that one out. We've got 35 minutes left, 35 minutes left on the clock here. Brentford coming forward. It's going to be Pontus Jansson on the right wing of all people. And now there's a chance here for Bournemouth to come forward. And it's David Brooks, and it's a 3-on-2. And now it's a 4-on-2 as the numbers come back for Brentford. Potential opportunity. Dan Juma's in the box. Lovely flick from Dan Juma and a lovely goal. And Bournemouth take the lead in this playoff tie. And it's a brilliant finish from the man who's been so consistent this season. Dan Juma Groenveld. And the dreams of the Premier League are well and truly alive for Bournemouth. It's 1-0, and the sound of joy from the thousands of fans who were there for the first time this season, and that is exactly what we needed at the start of the second half of this game. And it's Bournemouth 1, Brentford 0, and I will update the actual scoreboard in a second, but it was a really, really good counter-attack from Bournemouth. Brentford gave the ball away. There were numbers pushing forward, and it was David Brooks. Brilliant pass into Dan Juma, takes one touch, curls the ball into the bottom right-hand corner, and it's a brilliant finish from the Dutchman, who puts Bournemouth into the lead in this playoff tie, and that is what we wanted. 1-0 Bournemouth, and a brilliant, brilliant finish. let's get the scoreline updated and a big moment in the complexion of this two-legged playoff fixture, because Bournemouth have a goal on the board and Brentford, who have not been on top in this game and have kind of weathered the storm for large parts of this match, have now had the first blow from Bournemouth. And we have a game on our hands now. Here we go. And literally about 5 seconds before Bournemouth had won the ball, Brentford were in a position to cross the ball into the box. And they didn't. And in the end, they gave the ball away and paid the ultimate price of a goal for Bournemouth. And it's deserved with how they've been so far. Lots of opportunities, and they've finally taken one. As I think it's Janssen and Norgard just having a bit of talking to each other, and there's going to be 3 changes for Brentford. They're not messing about here, as they've got to get a goal back. Remember, away goals do not count in the EFL in terms of the playoffs, unlike the Champions League. But there's going to be a free kick here for Brentford, and a chance for maybe an instant equaliser. Ball's lobbed into the box, gets towards Pinnock, and again tries to head the ball towards the near post. Tariq Fosu's got the ball back here on the left wing. Lofts a really high ball, and in the end the ball actually goes out of play for a goal kick, and a little chance there you felt for Brentford, maybe just to make something and test that Bournemouth back line, see if they're aware. And Fosu, in the end, real waste of a cross into the box. But Ethan Pinnock again, that's about the 4th or 5th time now where he's been in the box, and he's got ahead. They've got to make sure that they focus when Ethan Pinnock is in the box, because he's been a real danger man so far. But in the end, Brentford going to make a triple change in a moment. And in fact, the triple change is going to be made now. And here we go. Can there be a potential opportunity for Brentford to get themselves back into the game? And first player coming off, we're going to see Henry, Emiliano Marcondes, and then Buemo come on. It's going to be Yaroslav Fosu and Force all coming off with half an hour to go in this tie. And as we know, it is going to be a very exciting half an hour to end. 3 attackers as well, isn't it? Coming onto the pitch. Well, 2 technically. Henry's not really an attacker, is he? He's more of a fullback than an attacker. And Buemo comes on. And Marcondes comes on as well. And Marcondes and Buemo, they've got qualities about them that will test Bournemouth. And I'll be interested to see, of course, if Bournemouth do maybe make a few substitutions of their own in a little bit to try and match up the attacking changes of Brentford. But we'll have to see as we just kind of reaching a little bit towards the hour mark. We're in the 58th minute, 32nd. Probably about 5 minutes behind all you guys, but it's been a good game. It has been a good game, and that's what makes the playoffs, isn't it? These enjoyable matches. The sense of urgency is what makes it really good. As Winvaz asked, did Ivan Toney go off? No. Absolutely no chance Ivan Toney comes off today. Unless Ivan Toney breaks his leg or something, he will be on the pitch for the rest of the match, that's for sure. You're not taking him off in a game like this. But another game coming up tonight. Don't forget, Barnsley Swansea is after this. We're not going to be streaming it on the channel, unfortunately. But if you're looking for more playoff action, then that should be an absolute cracker of a match between the underdogs in Barnsley and the veterans, you guess you could say, of the Premier League and the playoffs in Swansea City. Steve Cooper's side. Not been in the greatest of form recently, but they made the playoffs. And they'll be hoping they can go back to the Premier League for the first time in a few years. Barnsley will be the first time in the Premier League, which would be absolutely incredible if they were to make it. But Brentford coming forward here. And we're having the first early touches of the game for Mbeumo, but the ball's been given away. And now a chance here for Bournemouth to break forward. It's going to be a long ball towards Dominic Solanke. He doesn't take the greatest first touch in the world, and it's Sergi Canos who comes back and gets the ball back to David Raya. And it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. With the fans back in the stadium, there is a real atmosphere. None of this crowd noise that we've had to put up with for the last few months. It's a genuine, lovely atmosphere right now. And it's just nice to hear real fans in the stadium again. Of course, we had it at the FA Cup final, which wasn't the most amazing game, but an absolutely brilliant goal. But there's a chance here for Brentford. Oh! I thought it was in. It's the side netting. And it was Matthias Jensen who hits the side netting. And it was just one ball over the top. And Mbeumo with the touch. plays it to Jensen, who takes the shot on the half volley. A really powerful effort, but it hits the side netting in the end. And a really, really good opportunity you feel there for Brentford. And a little danger sign for Bournemouth, who will be, no doubt, feeling confident, but also feeling like if they can go and get a second in this game, it's going to make Brentford's life a little bit more harder to come back into this match. Although they will have, of course, another 90 minutes of action with the second leg on Saturday afternoon, which we will be covering. Very excited for that. As David Raya's given the ball away, but it has come back to Brentford. And here come Brentford coming forward. Here's Rico Henry, who is going to add a little bit more pace on the left-hand side. Can they maybe make the most of that? The pace that he's got. And there's a ball over the top here to Henry, but Asmir Begovic is quicker to it. And another chance, which Begovic has not really had to do much, has he? It's a very simple save, and Begovic has not had a great deal to do, although there's going to be a free kick here for Bournemouth, and Janelt has got away with another tackle there. He was the guy, of course, who fouled Lerma earlier on before the linesman flagged for offside, but he's got away with another one here. And I thought maybe the referee would have brought out a yellow card by now for Janelt, but he's a little bit lucky here to not go into the book. And Bournemouth get a free kick just past the halfway line, which David Brooks will take short to Billing, as they try to get a second goal in this game. And it won't necessarily kill the tie-off, because there's a long way to go in it, but make Brentford's life a whole lot harder. Here's Brooks, plays the ball into Pearson. Back to Brooks. Solanke, who's not had really much to do in this game. He's been a little bit too quiet, in my opinion. Danjuma on the left wing. Numbers in the box if he wants to whip a ball into the box. In fact, he's going to try and take it alone. Danjuma plays the ball into Adam Smith. Lots of space on the outside of the box. Philip Billing on the right wing. Plays it to Danjuma, who flicks the ball towards the path of Solanke. Brilliant from Brooks there to try and get round his man. And in the end, he did a little bit too much. And David Raya with a very simple save. And maybe a chance now for Brentford to hit on the break, as they hoof the ball long. And Ivan Toney with his probably only second touch of the game. It's been very quiet. Here's Marcondes, one of the substitutes. Now into Rico Henry, who I think will see a lot on the left-hand side, attacking rather than defending. Here's Jensen into Ebermo, who's got a chance here. Tries to flick a ball into the box, and it'll be, I think, a corner for Brentford. A really good work from Cameron Carter-Vickers. Just make sure that he doesn't make any contact with Ebermo, because he would have probably given away a penalty there, but he gets in front of his man. And a really important block from Cameron Carter-Vickers, or else that could have been an opportunity for either a penalty or maybe even a goal. But it's going to be a corner for Brentford. And what has been a very lively 20 minutes of action. And all the Brentford players gathered at the far post. We know Ethan Pinnock's been the danger. Ball lobbed in. Begovic has dropped it, but claims it in the end. And the Bosnian goalkeeper makes a not really comfortable save, but he gets it in the end. And it was actually Pontus Jansson who was in front of him, and it wouldn't have been a foul. And he's a little bit fortunate there that he's actually been able to get the ball back, or else we could have been talking maybe about a little bit of a goalkeeping howler to get Brentford back in this match. But here are Bournemouth just slowing the game down a little bit in this frantic 20 minutes of second half action. Goal from Danjuma to open the scoring, and there's a chance for Brooks to feed the ball towards Danjuma, who occupied a space in the middle of the pitch, but the pass from the Welshman a little bit too heavy. And Brentford just booting the ball out of play and giving Bournemouth a very cheap throw-in. And you can see Thomas Frank will not be happy with his performance so far. Very, very frustrating with the way that they've played. Not really been a good game. And of course, he'll be hoping that the substitutes can go out there and change the game up a little bit. But there will be a bit of team news coming out now in the game for Barnsley Swansea. Just having a look at the lineups now to see who's in there. Daryl Dike, of course, a very important player for Barnsley in their fight for the playoffs. He's up top tonight alongside Cauley Rudrow, so big call there. And then for Swansea, who've been fantastic this season, Cabango at the back, Bidwell playing at left back. They've got Conor Hurrihan in the midfield, and then of course one player's been so key for Swansea this season, Andre Ayew up top. Should be a very interesting one indeed. And chance now for Brentford to come forward. Ball eventually goes into the path of Ben Pearson, who now looks to try and guide Bournemouth on the counter-attack with Solanke. Ball's then given away, and it's Jensen who now leads Brentford on the counter-attack with 25 minutes left. It's really opening up this game now. It's coming a little bit more end-to-end than maybe Bournemouth would like it to be. Here's Mbermo. Jan Elst. Brilliant ball! And Begovic with a brilliant tackle. And a really, really good tackle there from Asmir Begovic, who once again, just like Cameron Carter-Vickers a few moments ago, had to make the pitch-perfect tackle, or else that could have easily been a penalty. But it's a brilliant ball from Jan Elst. And he wasn't offside in the end, the forward. And in the end, it was Macondes with a shot. A good save from Begovic. And the assistant referee with a very good decision, who, of course, then gives a goal kick to Bournemouth. And big ask, isn't it, right now for Brentford to get back into this game with the way that they've played. Really big ask. But they're starting to liven up a little bit more in this game. Looking to take on Bournemouth, get that goal back in the match. It's exactly what they need. They do not want to be going into that second leg 1-0 down. And what's been a pretty big season for Brentford. Let's not forget they were here last season, weren't they, in the playoffs? Lost 2-0 to Fulham in the final. If they do make it there, they will not want to repeat that situation all over again now, will they? As Bournemouth get themselves a throw-in at the halfway line, it's going to be Lloyd Kelly who takes it. Had a fair share of throw-ins in this game so far. And he tries to feed the ball towards Solanke, who's just been occupying a position on the left wing for a little bit. Solanke moving to the left-hand side. Bit of movement as well from Danjuma, who's moved into the middle of the pitch for now. Whether that's a tactical decision or not, I don't know. But Brentford just call for offside. And I'm just going to get the chat back up again because it's gone down. Give me 2 seconds. And we'll see what you guys have been saying in the chat. As Winvow's asked about a player at PSV. I'm not going to lie. I don't know whether that's an actual player or whether that was a joke one. I'd assume with Winvow it's an actual player. I mean, I'm not going to say anything because I've run the risk here of either getting trolled. I can't tell you. Because I don't really know anything about him. But yeah, Daryl Dike, very good player. Very, very good player. Really interesting to see how he does tonight because he's been the key player, hasn't he, really, for Barnsley in these last few weeks. And I think it's been him and Carlton Morris who've done very well as Bournemouth look to come forward, but don't get anything out of it. Pontus Jansson doing very well at the back. Jan Elst trying to go on a marauding run forward. But Lloyd Kelly is going to be as quick as Jan Elst with good defending. And the ball is out of play for a throw-in. And he's a legit player. I had to make sure there because I know the other guy came in earlier trying to go with a joke one. I don't fall for it too easy, apart from that one time where it was an absolute tit. But I don't really know much about him, to be honest, to be able to say where he'll go. I mean, if he's been scouted by big clubs, then whatever club he's at currently, he probably won't be there for much longer. Because there'll be a lot of big calls for clubs like, as you said, if Ajax are going in for him, then I'll tell you one thing. Ajax have got money, but they've also got a big stature. And players want to go and play at Ajax because it's the perfect place to improve as a player. But 20 minutes left on the clock here. There's going to be a corner here for Brentford. And Tony's been ineffective in this game. Really hasn't done anything in this match. As Ben Pearson's gone down with 20 minutes left. And, of course, they'll not be wanting to make another change because of an injury. We already saw Steve Cook come off just before the end of the first half because of an injury. But let's hope that Ben Pearson's okay to continue. But there'll be 4 more changes that Bournemouth can make. Already seen one of them. And 2 more changes for Brentford, who made 3 just a few moments ago. But Ben Pearson just down right now. And Daz says, if I were Southgate, I would take big Nat Phillips for the Euros. I tell you what, if you said that to Will Peat, he'd be loving you right now, Daz. I do think I mean, I'm not going to sit there and predict my Euro squad. We did it last year endlessly on the channel. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the Euros. It's going to be a good time for us. Just constant football. And Copa America's on as well. So there'll be football on at night time as well. It's just endless footy. It's great. Love the summer. Especially this year. It's going to be good, isn't it? But 20 minutes left on the clock here. And we are going to see a change for Brentford. And the sense of urgency is going to have to increase here for the away side. With 20 minutes left on the clock. They need something and fast. Or else they will be going into the second leg. Desperately needing a goal. It'd only be one goal they'll need because away goals don't count. But they might be able to get a goal here from the set piece. They've got a corner. And can they maybe get something from this corner? We'll have to see, as we're going to have a change here as Ben Pearson is going to come off with an injury. And that's really unfortunate. So change made here. Ben Pearson comes off. Another player off. Probably a little bit more of a precaution than a long-term injury or anything. And Jack Stacey comes on for the final 20 minutes of action. Let's see how that goes down. He's going to have some defending to do here because Brentford have got themselves a corner. And have bundled the players towards the near post. I mean, a goal here would be perfect for them. So ball going to be lobbed into the box. And it's going to be Matthias Jensen who flicks it in. And it's a cross towards the near post. And in the end, it's an awful cross. Goes out of play completely. And a real waste of a set-piece opportunity. And there's been too many times in this game today where Brentford have let the ball go out of play. There's a really badly hit pass or a really poorly hit cross. But we're going to see a change here as Dalsgaard is ready to come on. And I think Jan Elt's coming off. So yeah, Jan Elt comes off. Dalsgaard comes on. And the Dane, one of many Danes at the Brentford, comes on for the final 20 minutes of the match. As we've asked who is Stacey, it's Jack Stacey who is on the pitch. I think he's sometimes plays as a fullback. But I think he's playing as a CDM for the rest of this game because of Ben Pearson's injury. So a little bit more defensive. But then it doesn't really matter anyway because Ben Pearson's a defensive player. So they're kind of just a like-for-like replacement to a certain extent. But 18 minutes left on the clock here. Ball lofted towards Arnaut. Doesn't get to him in the end. A little bit too heavy with the cross. And a chance here for Brentford to come forward. Is 17 minutes left on the clock. Numbers piling forward. Here's Dalsgaard. Flicks the ball to Rico Henry. And a good header in the end. From Smith. Who does take the ball out of play for a Brentford throw-in. But just makes sure that there's no opportunity for danger for now. Here's Henry. Into Matthias Jensen. As Infinity Football's in the stream. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you're good. Welcome along. With 20 minutes left, here's Pinnock. Plays the ball to Matthias Jensen. There's calls for the ball to be flicked into the box. Pinnock, who's been a real danger today. Let's not forget he's a centre-back. But he's been one of the more dangerous players on the pitch. Here's Dalsgaard. On the right wing. Serge Canos tries to flick a ball into the box. It's a really low-driven cross. And in the end, it's cleared away, but not convincingly by Bournemouth. And you can see how the tables have turned in this game. It is now all Brentford in this last 5 minutes as they tried to push to get an equaliser in this playoff semi-final. They have got a second leg to go out and get a goal, but they really probably want to get a goal tonight and go into that second leg in their new stadium with fans for the first time. We'll have to see. But here comes Rico Henry. Tries to flick a ball in the box, and in the end it's poor as apparently Andre Romaglio's moved to PSV from Salzburg. That's not a bad signing, that. That's the Brazilian, isn't it? Andre Romaglio. I think that's a very good deal. One of those players at Salzburg, which has been a recognisable name for the last few years there, and PSV is always a nice place to go. But in the last 5 minutes, the ball has been in Brentford's half for 1%. 1% of the last 5 minutes, the ball has been in Brentford's half. That's how dominant the away side are in the last few minutes of this match, and they've got to be. They've got to go out there and get themselves a goal and fairly soon, because all it takes is Bournemouth to get a second, and it won't kill it, but it will make it so much harder going into the second game on Saturday. And of course they'll be keeping a close eye on all of the results going on as well in the Barnsley Swansea game, which will be coming up a little bit later on tonight. Not on the channel, sadly, but we'll be watching it with very keen eyes, that's for sure, as we go to the final 15 minutes. And well, Bournemouth have got 3 changes that they can make, I think, still. And they haven't made any more yet. I think Jack Wilshere is one of those players maybe you could bring on. Shane Long as well, or Surridge. And as for Brentford, they brought a few attackers on. Didn't bring Godos on, which I thought is interesting. But 15 minutes left here for Brentford to get that all-important goal on the board. After Dan Juma's early second half counter-attack finish. Ball played long towards Rico Henry. Now it's Matthias Jensen on the ball, who hits it long. And the free kick's been given to Bournemouth. And it's been given away by Marcondes. And the frustrations will continue to grow as this game goes on. If they're giving the fouls away like that, it's a poor one. And he just loses his footing slightly, Marcondes there, but it doesn't help him out whatsoever when he gives away the free kick. But he's been poor from Tony up top tonight. Really poor. 14 minutes left. Not had much of an opportunity, if I'm being honest with you. Very, very quiet. And without saying Daniel Sturridge, no, it's Sam Surridge. Not Daniel Sturridge. Sturridge is a free agent, I think. Either that or he's got a club somewhere. But Sam Surridge will maybe be someone who comes on a little bit later on if needed. As the ball goes out of play. And we're just going through a little phase here where the game has just quieted down a little bit. A little bit more patient from Brentford. As they try to slowly but surely get themselves a result. And Kyle's asked in the chat, who do you think will win between Swansea and Barnsley? It's a tough one. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that would love to see Barnsley in the Premier League because it would be like a Sheffield United-esque story. It's going to be a tough game against Swansea. But who knows? But Jensen puts in a cross and it should be 1-1. How's Mbeumo put that wide? That was the big chance of the game. It really should be 1-1. And that should have been the equaliser. And I mean, it was a brilliant ball. How on earth is that not in the back of the net? The goal is completely free and it's a cross towards the Frenchman. And I cannot make a case for him not putting the ball in the back of the net. It's a low crossing from Marcondes. It's a brilliant cross and he doesn't take it. And it should be 1-1. It should be 1-1. And he's got to give a good reason to why he's missed that. Because if Ivan Toney or any other player was in that situation, we would be saying that's an equaliser. As Infinity Football says, it's still taking some time to sink in how Barnsley are in the playoffs. It's an incredible story, isn't it? Absolutely incredible story. I mean, the fact that Barnsley are 3 games away from the Premier League is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I'd love to see them get to it because I'd be really intrigued to see what signings they made because it'd be very hard to get players to join Barnsley. But I'd love to see it because it's a different team, isn't it? And they've got a very good manager in Valérien Ismaël. And in terms of the game tonight, I think Barnsley will win. I think it'll be 1-0. It'll be a tight one, that one. But don't count out Swansea. And don't count out Andre Ayew because he tends to usually be a difference maker on the biggest of stages. And, he's been there for a few years now. And he'll be hoping maybe he'll be one of the only players left from the former Premier League squad that can get them back up to the Premier League. And I mean, exactly, considering they were almost relegated last season. Their manager then left, moved to the MLS, Gerhard Struber, and then they brought in Valérien Ismaël. And what a signing that was. What a signing. They'll be absolutely delighted that they've the season that they've had. And I think for Barnsley fans, if they don't go through to the final, there'll be a little bit of disappointment in there. But at the same time, they'll also look back at this season and go, wow, what an incredible season we've had. Spectacular for a club of our size. And it'll give them confidence for next season to see what they do. As we go into the final 10 minutes of action here between Bournemouth and Brentford. And Brentford have had their chances. And they're going to have to make sure they make the most of them because we're going to have another change here for Bournemouth. And it's going to be Jack Wilshere, a man who's played in many competitions. The Champions League, the Europa League, the Premier League. He's played in them all. And now he gets to have a key moment in the EFL playoff semi-final. And it's going to be David Brooks who comes off the pitch. And he's put in a fantastic shift tonight, the Welshman. And he comes off as Jack Wilshere comes onto the pitch. And he's the player arguably with the most experience on the pitch. Can he maybe be the difference maker for Bournemouth? We'll have to see whether or not, of course, was actually there when Bournemouth were in the Premier League a few years ago. And he'll be hoping now that he can take them back up to the Premier League himself. As Wimval says, he wants Daryl DK in the Premier League next season so that Orlando can understand they gave up a great player. I'll tell you something, I'm a big Pato fan. Massive Alexandra Pato fan. I hope he does well in MLS. Daryl DK would be great with him. But I think it's very unlikely Daryl DK staying. If Barnsley don't get him, someone else will. With how he's played. That's pretty much set in stone. Regardless of whether Barnsley actually go up or not. But I think it's going to be very tough to keep. And I think probably Orlando prepared for it a little bit with bringing in Pato. And then Infinity Football says, do you have any idea where my uncle Neil Taylor is going to move? Istanbul, Basaksehir, Trabzonspor, Stoke QPR? Who knows, mate? Who knows? We'll have to find out and see where he's in the near future. But yeah, as you said, Wimval, currently out injured, isn't he? Which is a shame. Typical Pato, isn't it? But Brentford coming forward here. Marcondes on the right wing. Plays the ball to Serge Canos and Lloyd Kelly clears the ball away. And it just feels like a sense of urgency now for Brentford. It has been a sense of urgency for the last 10 or 15 minutes. But Buemo's chance he didn't take. And they've got to go for it now. They're unbeaten in the last 12 games, Brentford. That might be about to go out the window. Brentford won all 3 of their final games in the Championship end of season. Bournemouth lost all 3, but now there's a chance here for Bournemouth to come forward. Here's Jack Wilshere, who tries to flick a ball into the box, and Marcondes with a block. And it's going to be a corner for Bournemouth, and a chance maybe to double their lead. And it's more relief as the time ticks away for Brentford, and more importantly for Bournemouth. It's been a nervy few minutes, hasn't it, with the constant waves of Brentford attacks. And they've got a chance here now to maybe just try and get a second in this game and really dampen Brentford's dreams of the playoff final for the second season in a row. And what's been a very good game. I've really enjoyed this game so far. Hopefully the other one in about half an hour's time is as good. But corner here for Bournemouth. It's going to be lobbed in by Arnaud Danjuma towards the near post. Headed away by Pontus Jansson, but not convincingly. And it will be Bournemouth who get the ball back with Lloyd Kelly. Ball going to be flicked towards Solanke. And there's going to be a free kick right at the edge of the box. And it's Matthias Jensen who's given the free kick away. And this could be a real opportunity in a very good position. And it's a interesting call there from the referee, because Solanke was at the edge of the box and looking like he was about to take a shot on, but the referee didn't play the advantage, has given the free kick instead. Can they make the most of this set piece in the final 7 minutes of what's been a very good first leg of action? Of course, we've got more EFL games coming. Don't forget Wednesday, Sunderland versus Lincoln City. That's going to be with Kieran L. We'll have the second leg of this game and maybe a few other EFL playoffs squeezed in here and there. But Danjuma, I think he's going to shoot. It's just outside the box towards the left-hand side. Towards pretty much the tip of the box. I think he's going to shoot. And he does! And it's a good save from David Raya in the end. And out for a corner. And he's high on confidence right now, the Dutchman. And he gets it towards that near post. That is a brilliant save from David Raya, because had he not got a hand to that, that was going right into the top, well, I'm saying right into the top corner, into the back of the net at the very least. But good save from David Raya. And maybe now another chance from a corner for Bournemouth as we approach the final 5 minutes of this first leg. The golden ticket to the Premier League could be going towards Bournemouth as the corner's taken and Ivan Toney gets his head on it. That's probably one of the only contributions he's had in this game, if I'm being honest with you. Begovic hoops the ball up the pitch. It's going to be headed by Janssen. Then headed by Jensen. And the free kick has given a free kick to Brentford. Offside given, I think, on Dominic Solanke. And here comes Godos. He's going to be another one of the substitutes. And can this man maybe make a difference? We spoke about him earlier. He's one of those players that hasn't had a great deal of time for Brentford, but he's a very enigmatic player when he wants to be. And now is the time where Brentford need something in this game, and Saman Godos will come on and hopefully make the difference. Of course, played at Ostersund's as well a few years ago under Graham Potter. Played fantastically well. I think he scored against Arsenal in the Europa League a few years ago. Can he score a goal against Bournemouth in the playoff semi-final? We'll have to stop for a second though, because we're into the last 5 minutes and there's a chance here for Bournemouth to break. It's a 2v4, 2 Bournemouth players, and a chance taken on by Solanke, but it's straight into the hands of David Raya, who will push the ball out. And of course Brentford really, really desperate here to get a goal. As Infinity Football says, I think Neil might move to Istanbul or Trabzonspor, because he was telling me he wants to move abroad. I mean, Turkey's not a bad place to go. Besiktas have had a bad season, haven't they? We're down there in the relegation zone for large parts. Trabzonspor up there, I think, might get Europa League. That'd be quite cool. Neil Taylor in the Europa League. But 4 minutes left here. And Brentford are running out of time to get a goal in this first leg. Chance maybe here for the ball to go into the box from Marcondes. Lob towards Ivan Toney. Comes to the edge of the box. And it's taken on by Norgard. And it's hit straight down the middle, but a little bit too high. And not really much for Begovic to do there. And another opportunity that's gone wide for Brentford. As we're just seeing the chance again here. And it was a really good chance. And it was actually Godos who was going to go for it first. And I think Godos there just saying for a moment to Norgard, I was actually going to take that shot on. And we know the desperation, of course, to get a goal is going to cause a few of these players to go a little bit desperate. But maybe should have left it to the striker there, Norgard. Could have been a better opportunity. But there's 3 minutes left. And Bournemouth now will probably be thinking to themselves, let's just get this game done and done with. Not really too fussed about it getting second goal. Just making sure here that Brentford don't get themselves a goal before the end of this game. And look, they'll have fans back at their new stadium. 5,000 to be precise. But the 5,000 Bournemouth fans will be buzzing right now, because they know that their side will be just 90 minutes away from the playoff final at Wembley as it stands. But there's still work to do with 2 more minutes left. And it's going to be Brentford, I believe, with the throw-in. And if there's any time where Ivan Toney or someone else could turn up, it needs to be now. And it's actually going to be a Bournemouth throw-in, as they just look to waste a little bit more time in this game. And I think this game is very finely poised. And if Brentford do, come out of this game with a 1-0 defeat, look, at the end of the day, they will still be able to fight back in this match. They'll only need 1 more goal to take it to extra time, 2 for the win. And when they do play next Saturday, which we will be covering that second leg, they're still well and truly in it. And it's been a very good game. Let's not be wrong. Both teams have played well. They've had the chances. Could have arguably been a few more goals in this game. Had a few of the players finished a little bit better. I mean, the Buemo chance, we could have been sat here saying it's 1-1. But fair play. It's been a good game. And hopefully a very similar pace in the second leg, because these are 2 teams that deserve to be in the Premier League. But one of them will not be making that final in about a week's time, I think it is. It's a very quick turnaround in terms of when the finals are on. And of course, we'll be covering all 3 finals when they do come around, as Brentford look to push the ball forward. Long ball to Ivan Toney. Doesn't get to him in the end. And there's a chance here for Bournemouth to drive forward. And it's going to be a free kick given away by Godos, who protests to the referee there. And referee, of course, not having none of it there. And we'll have a free kick at the halfway line with a minute of normal time to go. As Infinity Football says, he's really stoked to see Ben Foster's GoPro next season. I'm very interested to see whether he's back in net or not next season. Because I wouldn't have said Bachmann would be the starting goalkeeper for them. I think Foster would be very good back in the Premier League again, but we'll have to see. Big season, isn't it, for Watford? Going to be a lot of work for them to do. As Dalsgaard heads the ball. Getting it away from his goal. Comes towards Jefferson Lerma. And with 10 seconds left of normal time, we'll know how much additional time we've got in the second. It's now or never in this first leg for Brentford. As the ball's hoofed long. And we are going into additional time, in which we will have 5 minutes for Brentford to get a goal and Bournemouth to hold on. Can the away side do it? Take us into a very exciting second leg where the score could be all square. Ball's lofted long. It comes towards Ivan Toney. He does get his head onto it. Here's Godos with a touch. Norgard trying to take on the volley. Doesn't get to him in the end. But they've got the ball back here. And Bournemouth. Now into Godos, who has to play the ball back. Here's Pinnock. As every man pushes forward for Brentford in desperation. Ball lofted into Bournemouth from Marcondes. Doesn't get to him in the end. Ball eventually going to try and come to Godos, who's going to have to take on his man. Danjuma's got it. And there'll be a free kick. No, it won't be a free kick. Dalsgaard takes out Danjuma. Very good tackle in the end. Referee going to give a throw in there rather than the free kick that I think a few Brentford fans would have been praying wasn't given. And correct decision in the end there from the referee. No real contact on Danjuma. As we go into the final 5 minutes. Well, 4 minutes now. Calzane, what's this GoPro all about? Basically on YouTube, he does kind of like, little vlogs on all of the games and stuff. I think he calls himself, is it the cycling goalkeeper or something like that? But he basically does all of his blogs. So in the Championship, he blogged, all of his games. And he take his GoPro, which is why you might have seen, I can't remember which player celebrated, but there was a player which celebrated right in front of his GoPro, and it went all over social media. But it's quite cool to see that side of the football of the game. Do you know what I mean? But here come Brentford, looking to get a goal in this game. Ball towards, I think it was an opportunity for Henry. Doesn't come to him in the end. And Danjuma trying to break forward, but Pinnock, who's been brilliant in this game, I've got to say, does really, really well. And a free kick's been given to Bournemouth. I don't know whether it was a foul, but I couldn't see for a second there because the camera had panned away. And Jefferson Lerma's just gone down, maybe with a bit of cramp here. With 2.5 minutes left on the clock. As the time slowly ticks away. And Jonathan Woodgate trying to get his players over the line here. The fans absolutely loving it right now. As they know that they've got a chance here to come out of this game with a big victory on the board. As we are about 20 minutes away from Barnsley up against Swansea. That's the next game of the night. We're not going to be covering that on the channel, sadly. I mean, I'd be very tempted to do 2 back-to-back streams, but I haven't got anything set up for it, I'm not going to lie. As we're going to have a corner here for Brentford. With 2 minutes left. And I think they're quite happy with 1-0 Bournemouth. And Metham's not gone forward, and that kind of tells you the story here. Bournemouth quite happy with the 1-0 lead. They're going to stay at the corner flag, I think. In fact, no, Metham has gone forward. No, Metham's now going back. I think he wanted to go forward there, and he's decided not to. So Bournemouth are quite happy here to just take the 1-0 lead as they sit pretty much at the corner flag and waste the time in the game. Infinity Football saying it was Jamal Lowe. You are spot on. And then Calcine wishing Ben Foster the best. He hasn't played a great deal this season, so I guess he's had a good few opportunities to use his camera and vlog the games and stuff. But I think, as we said, Bournemouth very happy to take that 1-0 lead. They are not going for a second goal, but it's going to be a goal kick for Brentford. We're down to the last 60 seconds of the first leg. And in a game where Brentford have had a fair few chances, but haven't taken any, there might be now a chance here for Bournemouth to come forward. It's a 4-on-4. Here's Danjuma on the wing, just outside of the box. Fans calling for him to shoot. Here's Jefferson Lerma, cuts in, keeps the ball, but only just. And Bournemouth will just pass around and waste the last 45 seconds as the ball is booted out of play for a throw-in for Brentford. And not really the pass there that Cameron Carter-Vickers would have wanted to have placed. But it's a very, very delicately poised second leg, that's for sure. Brentford will be happy that they're still in this. Bournemouth may be a little bit disappointed they've not got a few more goals on the board. But it does mean on Saturday afternoon, it's going to be very, very tight. But the goalkeeper's out and there's a chance for Philip Billing, and David Rea recovers. And that was a nervy moment there. His kick deflected to Billing, who tried to take the shot on the volley. It was an awkward shot in the end, but it didn't come to anything. And surely that will be that. As David Raya plays the ball to Ethan Pinnock. Unless the referee gives the time, he's not going to give time. And that will be the end of the first semi-final, first leg in the Championship, and Bournemouth have one hand on the golden ticket to Wembley for a chance for the Premier League. And it was a really, really well-fought game between two sides that have been brilliant in the Championship this season. But it was a goal from Danjuma Groenveld. It was a brilliant counter-attack, which got them the goal in the end. But it will be opportunities from Brentford, which they will be absolutely ruining tonight. Specifically, that miss, a real big sitter from Brian Mbeumo, who should have put the ball into the back of the net with 10 minutes of the game to go. But Bournemouth have that all-important 1-0 lead. But do not count Brentford out, because a one-goal cushion is not a great deal, is it? They only need one goal, and we might have extra time and penalties next week. But we'll have to see what goes on there. As of course there is a long, long way to go when it comes to these playoff matches. Don't forget, if you wanted to stream as always, please don't forget to leave a like and a subscription. There is another game going on tonight in about 15 minutes time. Barnsley taking on Swansea in the other Championship playoff semi-final. That should be a brilliant, brilliant game to watch indeed. I would have done that one live as well, but I haven't got anything set up for it, so unfortunately I'm not. But don't forget, we've got more watch-alongs to come up on the channel over the next week. We're going to have more playoff ones, including Lincoln City taking on Sunderland. That's Wednesday, 5:55 with KL. We'll have the second leg, Brentford against Bournemouth. That's from 12:25 on Saturday. You can join me for that in the early afternoon. We'll have a whole host of other playoff games as well over the week. We'll have the Liga and final day. That's on Sunday, 7:50. We've got 3 teams fighting for the title, 6 teams fighting for survival. Should be very good indeed. The Premier League of Darts, night 13. You can join me on Monday from 7:05 for the final week of darting action. And then, of course, the Europa League final, Villarreal taking on Manchester United. That's Thursday from 7:50. Should be a fairly brilliant game indeed to watch with the rest of the Sports Corner team, not including myself. Check out our social media as well. Our Twitter is @the_top corner, and our website is thesports-corner.com. I highly do recommend go and checking both of those social media pages out. There is a lot of content on there, of course, to check out on our website. And if you do check out our Twitter, which the link is in the chat right now and is in the description, you can always find out when we go live on our YouTube page. And that is it for tonight's action. A really, really good EFL playoff fixture. 2 brilliant sides and a lot still to play for in terms of the action in the next leg. Our next stream will be on Wednesday. You can join KL Live on Wednesday, 5:55. Lincoln City taking on Sunderland. Should be a very good playoff fixture. But as for now, have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And I will be back, I think, in a few days' time. But as for now, see you later. Good night.